Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Me and Miss Ruth, high fives, yes, are ready for an awesome workout. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. We are working on another little two-part series that I put together for you guys on mobility. So, real quick, what you're going to need today, and then I'll talk a little bit about what the mobility series is. You're going to need one heavy weight today. And I mean, pretty heavy. We're doing all lower body work today, so usually our lower body can handle a heavier load. So you're just going to need one heavy weight. And then if you have it, a kettlebell would be helpful, but it's totally not necessary. You can use the one heavy weight in place of the kettlebell. It's just a little more awkward, but I'll be doing it so you can see what I mean, because the only kettlebell I have is 10 pounds, and that's not going to cut it for what we're using it for today. So one heavy weight, kettlebell if you have it, and then a target item. Now, I don't think I'm even going to have a target item, but I have a visual in front of me that you can't see that I'll be using, and you can do the same thing. So a target item, basically what we're going to be doing, just brief preview of the exercise. Watch out, Tina, I don't want to kick you. Come on, go see. Go get your treats. We're called up and overs, which people that work out with me in person know what those are, and are like, oh dear. So up and overs, basically it looks simple until we start doing it. Up and overs is we have a target item, so that can be something literally sitting on the floor. That can be something just visually in front of you. And we're going to transfer all of our weight to one side, and we're going to take our leg up and over that target item. So, for instance, in person, I have these little like parallel bars, basically. They're about hip height that I sit out in front, long ways, not this way, long ways, that people do their legs up and over. So they are physically lifting their leg up and over that bar. For people that aren't able to get their leg that high, we have some lower targets. But, so that's kind of what you're looking for. Maybe your leg doesn't get this high, maybe your leg's more down here, and that's fine. That's fine. Again, we're working on mobility today. But if you have nothing that fits that bill, like I don't, or it would take up all of the space that I have remaining available, I have a weight bench that you can't see that's out here, so I'm just visually looking at that weight bench and taking my leg up and over that weight bench. So that's what I mean, what we're going to need for this exercise. So heavy weight, optional kettlebell, target item, and then just your yoga mat, your floor support, whatever makes you feel good on the floor. So real quick, we are doing a circuit class. We'll cover the basics. We're doing a circuit class. We are doing 1 minute of exercise, 20 seconds off, 8 total exercises. So 1 minute on, 20 seconds off, 8 times. We'll go through that whole rotation a total of 4 times. So that's kind of our basic circuit setup, but if you're new, that's what you're working for. If you're new and maybe an hour isn't enough, or is too much for you, or 8 exercises is too much for you, or a minute is too long for you, then just go as long as you can. If you can't do a minute, do 30 seconds, do 45 seconds. If you can't do 8 exercises, do 6. I keep the timer running for us, so you just take the breaks that you need to, skip what you need to, and just join us back. The timer's going to keep going. We're going to keep moving. Hop in and out as you need to. Okay, so that's the basics. So just real quick in this mobility series, we are focusing on the 2 most complicated, complex, and problematic joints in the body, our hips and our shoulders. So today specifically, we are looking at hips. So this is a happy hips is what I call it. And I do have, just in case any of my friends scroll by, I have used a shorter version of this class on some in-person clients to let them try it out and be my guinea pigs. So we are doing exercises today. They're going to be plenty hard work, but also focus on the mobility in the hips and help us kind of evaluate where we might have some problem points, where we might be tight, where we might have some sticky spots, things like that. So these exercises are going to force our hips through a full range of motion, through extension, through flexion, lateral, front, back, side, every direction, every mobility, we're going to be putting our hips through, including some pretty extreme possible stretches as well. So we're really going to hit the hips hips in a whole bunch of different ways and get some great work. And at the same time, it's going to let you evaluate where you might need to do some work in your hips or the muscles surrounding your hips. So we're not just talking about the joints themselves, but all of the muscle, all the fascia, all the ligaments, all the tendons that live in this area. There's so much happening here. We're going to kind of evaluate all of that. So I want to encourage you as you're working to listen to your body, see where you're sticky, where you're tight, where you're weak, things like that, where you're strong. Don't always be negative, and think about that. And then how can you improve upon that? What can you do? What can you stretch? What can you strengthen to improve those areas that you find while we do this workout? So that's why I said be curious. Come with a curious mind. I don't want you to hate on yourself when we get to something that's hard for you. Don't be like, oh, the evaluation was that I suck. That's not it, okay? So really come curious but non-judgmental about what's happening in this super complicated region of our body, okay? All right, so we are gonna get started here. The last couple things I always say, of course, if you have questions and you're working out live with me, leave me a comment. I do check in at the end of each circuit to answer any questions that you have. Or if you're working out after the fact, feel free to shoot me a message or leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Probably won't help you live while you're working out, or at the time if you're not working out live, but it'll help you in the future. I'm always happy to help. Please like, share, subscribe, all those things on social media that get people looking at us and paying attention to what we're doing here. I don't know where you would find great series like this for free or donation-based anywhere else. And lastly, speaking of that, donations are the only payment that I receive for these classes. So if you can give, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much to those of you who do give and help keep me motivated to come out here and do this every week, twice a week. So if you would like to donate, Venmo at Strong Style Fit is where you'll find me. All right, guys, I'm going to catch a quick break. You do need your heavy weight or your kettlebell for the first 2 exercises. So go ahead and grab those. I'll come back. I'll coach you through the first exercise, and then we'll start the timer and get going, and then I'll coach you through the rest as we go. All right, I'll be right back. Geraldo, I'm not even going to read that quote out loud. I can't have those words come out of my mouth. All right, guys, so we're going to start with a lateral lunge, wide leg deadlift, lateral lunge combination. So we're going to get started into our lateral lunge. So you want your feet pretty wide apart, but probably not as wide as you think. A lot of people go into lateral lunge, go out into like this almost split. That's not where we want to be. So you got to kind of play with it, but what we want is when we lateral lunge, we want to be over hip, still in line with the knee and the foot. So if we get too wide and then we come out here, we're kind of to the middle still, and then our legs like way flared out here. That's a nice stretch, but it's not how we want to move with heavy weights in our hands. So we're going to lateral lunge back, then come to the middle, wide leg deadlift, so our back stays flat, our hips sit back, come up, and then lateral lunge to the other side. Up, wide leg deadlift, to the other side. So that's how we're going to move for exercise 1. So again, that wide leg deadlift, same as our regular deadlift, our chest is tall, back is flat, hips sit back. So see, my legs are straight, and then we squeeze through our booty to stand. So this is where you need the heavy weight. If you have the heavy weight, your transition is just a little more awkward versus the kettlebell. So you would lateral lunge out to the side, come to the middle with both hands down, and then transfer hands. So it's just a little more awkward, but not terrible, okay? All right, let me get this timer on, and we will get started. I apologize, we're getting a little later start today. Just one of those days where things just weren't silly things were happening. Like I put on the wrong pair of shoes. Like what? Okay. Why did I put on the wrong pair of shoes? Silly things like that. All right, guys, so I'm going to hit start the timer, and we will get going in 3, 2, and 1. Let's get to work. So play with that lateral lunge. Find your spot. It might take a minute to find your right spacing for your lateral lunge. So, how are we moving our hips here? We're moving them in a whole lot of ways. So this wide leg deadlift, we're really getting some stretch through those hip flexors. Here, huge stretch. So really, this is a great work and stretch opportunity. We're stretching through these hip flexors as we come out to the side. Boom, stretch through here. And then as we come back, we're stretching through the glutes and the hamstrings. So this is a great exercise to wake up the hips, wake up the hip flexors. Beautiful. So now, next up is sumo squat. No trick to the sumo squat. We're just doing a regular sumo squat. So now our feet are nice and wide, toes at 10 and 2. Tuck that tail. Don't let your booty pooch out behind you and your chest sit forward. Nice, long, tall body. Then our knees track the same direction as our toes. And we come down. Boom. So now, we're getting further evaluation of these hip flexors, of our inner thighs. Now I have already worked out for about 30 minutes this morning. So my sumo squats are feeling pretty good, but this is one that's always, if this is your first movement of the day, or it's at the end of the day, you've been sitting all day, these sumo squats are gonna be tight. As you do them, you'll be able to get lower and lower. Whew. Let's really zip up those legs as you stand, squeeze that booty. Perfect. Set that weight out of the way, or you can use that as your target for your up and overs. So we're doing an up, over, knee lift. Show you what that looks like. Let's start with your left leg as your planted leg, and then we'll use our right leg as our mover. Perfect. So we've got a straight leg, nice and tall through this hip. We pick up, we pick over, knee lift to the outside. Up, over, outside. Up, over, outside. So try to keep that leg straight. I don't mean locked out. I just mean towards straight. If you can. Again, now we're evaluating how our hip moves. Internal and external rotation. Internal, external rotation. So that's what we're evaluating now. You might have some grinding in that hip joint. You might have some popping. Depending on how out of alignment my hips are, sometimes I get huge thuds in that hip joint. And I mean like, what just happened thuds? Perfect, so now we're gonna do the other side. Again, this is work, right? Heart rate gets a little up from these. I've had clients do these for the first time and really like freak out. So we're like, what's happening? Why am I like out of breath from this? It's a lot, moving that leg. That's heavy, right? All right, so we switch our weight, and again, we're not out to the side, we're up tall in our hip. And we come up, this is the one that likes to thud, over and out to the side. Up, over, out to the side. A lot of you guys know, if you worked out with me before, I have scoliosis. I'm curved, my hips sit like this. Whoops, I just went backwards. And sometimes my hips get really out of alignment, and that's when those thuds come. Because if you think about it, if your hips sit like this, all of those muscles, all of those things that run through your hip are now all out of alignment and not really working how they're supposed to. And as you can see, I don't have the lift on this left side that I did on the right. Whew. All right, guys, so now we're going to do runner's lunge to warrior three. We've practiced this a little bit. If you did the previous class with me, we did some runner's lunge with knee pull-throughs. Kind of similar. So runner's lunge, we come back, our knee is high, hips are squared. We get to our lowest point, and you can do whatever helps with your arms. We're going to push up, tip over into warrior three. Hips are even, not flared open. Hips are even. Lower ourselves back down into runner's lunge. Tip forward, push up, tilt over, step back. Up, over, ease it back. If you want to make this bigger, you can do arms overhead, back, down, arms overhead. Your choice. If you want to make this the biggest, you leave arms up and tick-tock out. Woo! So here you're working on stability. You're also singling out one leg, and you're getting a full range of motion here. So you're down, up, and then into the hip and back, while you're also working on this part of the leg that's back. So we're here. So now we're testing our back leg, the front of the hip mobility. And then we come up, tick-tock over. So my right side, outside, is super tight. So coming forward, I mean, you guys saw how easily I did it on the other leg. Over here, it is hard. But I'm already feeling it loosen up. So that's another thing. If you're feeling a lot of tightness, also evaluate how it feels each round. Whew. That's a lot of glute work. Now guys, this is where we're going to get into some extreme stretch, possibly. I'm going to break it down. I'll show you the fullest version, and then I'll break it down for you. This is going to be a yogi squat with plank step backs. So let's start in plank here. And then we're going to step 1 foot up, bar to the outside of our right hand, 1 foot up to the outside of our left hand. This might be enough for you. If this is enough for you, then come here, hold for just a moment, and then step back. Otherwise, you can come into a yogi squat for just a moment, and then put your hands down, step back, up, up, chest comes up, squat into it, put your hands down, step back, up, up, sink into it, fall out of it, put your hands back, up, up, sink in, hands down, back, back, up, up, sink into it, hands down, back, back. Whew. All right, last, we're doing bridge hip thrusters. So grab that heavy weight. We're going to come down into our bridge. And we're going to set this heavy weight on our hips. Feet hip width apart, in close to your tail. Heavy weight on our hips. Keep a hand on it, please. Tuck those shoulders under. And we lift. So again, more movement through our hips. We're getting extension through the front of the hips. working our glutes on the back end. You might also notice your inner thighs, your hip flexors in here. If they're really tight, it might be uncomfortable to have your knees this close together. When you push up to the top, your knees might flare out because it's so uncomfortable to have your legs this close together if you're really tight. So something else to think about. When you push to the top, if your knees are bowing out, really focus on pulling them together. Whew. All right, that's round one. That's a lot of booty and leg work, right? So we got a minute and a half break. I'm gonna show you that yogi squat from the front. So yogi squat, again, we're gonna step our feet up to the outside of our hand, up to the outside of our hand. Heels are in, toes are out. And you might need to kind of wiggle into it. And then we sit back, knees come to elbows come to knees, and we sort of push into our knees. Chest comes up. So when you step into it from plank, we're stepping up, up, and then you either stay here if you can't come down, or just briefly drop down, pull that chest tall, and then go back, step back into your plank. Again, that's an extreme squat. If you have knee pain, might not be for you. If you're incredibly tight, might not be for you. Just stay on your hands, sink your hips as low as you can, and then step back into your plank. For me, those are a work in progress still. I can do them, but I need to be warmer. So hopefully by the second round, we'll be good. All right, guys, 10 seconds. And actually, I'm gonna take a quick pause on the timer, check the video, and then we'll get going. All right, I just really want to be able to show you that yogi squat. All right, 5 seconds left. Grab that heavy weight or the kettlebell. We've got that lateral lunge with a wide deadlift. Lateral lunge. Come up. Hips sit back. Stand. Good. So I know we're already in round one, but you may have started noticing some things, making notes of some things in your head. But again, guys, don't be judgmental. Just make notes about it, and then come back later with a plan of attack on how you're going to work on it. And also, don't expect whatever your plan of attack is. You know, if you have a super sticky left hip, don't think you're going to fix it in a day. Gosh, I wish. Be patient with your body. And also remember, you know, maybe you do this workout today, and then you do it 2 weeks from now, you might feel totally different. Sumo squat. We get a new body every day when we wake up. If you keep evaluating, you'll notice some consistencies that you can evaluate and again work to improve. All right, sumo squat, legs wide, toes flare out, knees track the same direction as our toes. Tail is tucked, tall chest, tail tucks in. We come down, we zip up the back of those legs. Good. So the weight we're holding here, make sure you're keeping that chest nice and open. Don't let it collapse you forward. You'll notice too, if you really think about tucking that tail, you might not go quite as low. There's reason for that. When you let your tail roll back, you kind of create some extra space that allows you to go a little lower, but you're not getting that great stretch because you set your pelvis back. I won't get too anatomy on you. All right, guys, we've got those up and overs with the knee lift. Tall through that hip. Everything's tall. crown of the head coming up. We come up, over. So extra challenge, don't actually touch down any direction. So keep your foot elevated. Work to keep those hips nice and even. And if you need to hold on to something for balance, totally fine. You know, I'm always going to say challenge your balance, but we don't challenge it to the point that we can't complete the exercise. And you may notice these are a little smoother than the first time. Whew. All right. And I forgot to point out, guys, beautiful flowers again today. This is my favorite, it's a black petunia. It's incredible. It's so black and beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love it. We actually wintered that over, which I know you don't normally do with petunias, but we just couldn't give it up. Up, over, outside. And guys, remember again, challenge yourself. How high can you lift your leg? But that doesn't mean that if you can't get it up to your hip height, that you're failing. Again, just something to make note of. It's not about how high you're kicking. It's about the steadiness that you're moving with. Keep that core nice and tight. That will help you lift. Strong and steady through the standing hip. Don't collapse down. Woo! All right. So we've got that runner's lunge to warrior three. And again, warrior three, when you tick-tock forward, you want those hips to be side by side and even. Our body is much more comfortable to flare open. Keeping those hips down, both hip points to the ground, that's where it gets tricky. All right, so runner's lunge. We come out forward and push up, tick-tock over, and then back down. Or you can tick-tock over, kind of stand up, and then tick-tock forward. It's really, again, about strength, about mobility. There's no wrong way really to do this as far as if you're here and then come up, tick-tock over, versus staying low and pushing into it. I'll let you choose your own adventure on that. So much glute work here. Woo. So you notice, guys, I'm stumbling and bumbling too. Instructors aren't perfect. If you see a perfect instructor on video, chances are it was edited. That's why I like working out live with you guys. I like you to see me on bad days, bad exercises, good exercises, fumbling, bumbling. I like to be realistic. It'll help a lot, guys, too, if you pick a focal point. So I kind of pick one here and then one here, and I follow that. So this outer hip is the one I said is super tight. So for me, coming forward with my hips even on this side is really a challenge. But as your body warms, it will get easier. Woo! glad I've got a good left side at least, so you can see it done well on one side. I also, silly me, picked a yoga video to do before this class that had a whole series just like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be exhausted. All right, so we're in our plank. We step up to the outside of our right, up to the outside of our left. Drop those hips, lift your chest up. If you can, then place your hands back down, step back, step back. Step up, drop down if you can, back. Or again, maybe this is enough. If this is enough, maybe wiggle your hips a little and then step back. You can also play with the distance between your feet. For me, a little narrower is more comfortable. I can sink a little lower with my feet more narrow. Woo! Come on down. We've got that heavy bridge. So again, feet hip width apart, heavy weight. Sit it on those hip bones. Keep your hands on the weight. Because if you don't, when you lift your hips, that weight's coming right for your face. So you've got your feet in alignment with your hips. In close to your hips. But you don't want to be so close that you're up on toes or that you're, when you come up, you're not 90-90. You want your feet to be about 90-degree bend when you come up. Squeeze that booty hard, hard, hard at the top. Woo. Roll that weight off. And that is our break. Come on up. Whew. I know it is hot out here and I'm in a sweaty situation with this garage, but woo, sweat is real for me. I hope you guys are feeling it too. So, what did you notice this round? Did you notice maybe something that was popping and clicking a bunch in the first round that you made a middle note of when you got back to it? It wasn't quite as bad. Very normal, very likely. Maybe you noticed, oh, this left leg, kind of like me, the right leg in this Warrior 3, it just ain't happening. Something to note. Again, don't judge. Don't be like, oh, my right leg's so stupid. Don't do that. Just note it. Keep an eye on it. Notice if it's a recurring issue, and it's something to work on. All right, we got about 30 seconds. I'm going to check on the video real quick. All right. 15 seconds, friends. Catch your breath. We got 2 more rounds to go. Already halfway there. All right, I'm gonna get set up for my lateral lunge. All right, so we lateral lunge. Again, our weight shifts, our hips sit back. We're not rocking forward into that knee. Hips sit back, come up, hips come back again. Up, lateral lunge over, up. So a lot of these exercises are this great combination of stretch and strength. It's a great way to work. So you want to be pliable, pliability. It means that you're able to move, flex, bend, have a good range of motion. Think about, you know, a material, like a flexible fabric or pliable versus something that's brittle. That's what we're trying to do. Get these muscles, the fascia, all those attachments, where they're pliable. They're able to bend and move with you, not resist against you. All right, sumo squats. We flare those toes out, knees move that same direction. If you have a weight, chest stays open, and we drop down. Keep that tail nice and long. Chest nice and high. Woo. So yeah, you might find through this round that some things you made a mental note of, you no longer need to. And that just means that your body's warmed up and adapted, and that's a good thing. There's a reason why athletes warm up, right? You've got to get that body literally warm. You get those muscles warm, the tissue warm, and then it's more pliable and flexible. So there's a reason for it. I know a lot of us don't take the time to do it, but it is super important. All right, up and overs with those knee lifts. Again, tall, crown of the head pulls to the sky. Up, over, knee lift. Up, over, knee lift. Good job. Try to take some breaks from chatting at you so much so you can really listen, both actually listen and internally listen to your body. Because you might literally hear things. So I will try to take a little more breaks from conversation so you can hear your body now that we know how we're moving and what we're moving and what our goals are. All right, other side. Crown the head up, nice and tall. Move at whatever pace you need. That leg's getting heavier and heavier, and you need to slow down a little, that's okay. Core tight. That'll help you lift. Good job, guys. I know, it's weird to be quiet, I know. I'm always, all right, with that yogi squat, plank step backs, okay? So again, this is one where you should notice it gets better and better each round. Plank, step up, drop your hips, lift your chest. If you can, hands come down, step back, step up, drop and lift. And again, you can play with the width of your feet. You want them to be wider than your hands, but they don't have to be super wide. Like I said, I feel more able when they're on the narrower end, so that I'm literally coming up right beside my hands. Sinking open, hands come down, step it back. Up, sink it, open. All right, bridge with that heavy weight. Yeah, yogi squat. I don't know how long I've been doing yoga now, 4 or 5 years. And that yogi squat with my knees was just never an option. So I would stop, like you're seeing, once I would step up by my hands, and then I would leave my hands on the ground for support. And that was definitely a huge help. Squeezing that booty to the top. Pushing those hips forward. I definitely skipped over the runner's lunge warrior threes. So we'll do those last. Oh my gosh. I was thinking, I'm like, wow, how are we here already? Wow. I'm telling you, it's one of those days. All right, guys, so we're going back to those runner's lunge to warrior threes, okay? Ooh, sorry about that. That's another disadvantage of not having people working out live with you. To go, hey! All right, guys, runner's lunge. We tick-tock out, drive through this front foot. Come forward, we're trying to make a T. There's a reason why I wore my Power T tank today. Up, make that T, and then ease back into your runner's lunge. I think more than anything, I'm just having trouble focusing. When I redirect myself and go, Tracy, really focus and get that balance back. That warrior three, we're working this whole bend in that hip. So that's a big range of motion through that hip. So that's what we're focusing on. Again, if you have tight muscles out through here, that's going to be really challenging. The tick-tock forward is going to challenge you. Keeping your hips squared. Normally I do not work through warrior three with my hands on my hips, but funny enough, it's helping me keep them sort of aligned, and it's making my tick-tock forward easier. You might notice I was a little less shaky on that side, if you're looking at me at all. All right, guys, now that's our break. Funny, funny. Good, 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 guys. I'm sweating my booty off. I don't know about you guys. I also don't have the benefits of air conditioning. right, friends, we got about a minute break left. Check the video. I'll be right back. All right, guys, so now, in this round, I'm going to challenge you. I haven't told you really what to think about or evaluate in the previous round, just ask you to be non-judgmental. So now, I do want to sort of direct you towards thinking about what has changed positively from the first round to the fourth round. Think about that. Think about what feels better now, what feels stronger now, what do I understand more now? Am I getting it better now? Think about the positives. I'm going to push you to put a positive spin on what has changed in a good way from start to finish with each exercise. All right, last trip through, guys. Lateral lunge. Hips come back, flat back forward. Lateral lunge. Be a little more quiet, what you think about it. Good job. Sumo squat. So for me, I noticed today I had no knee pain in my lateral lunge. Lateral lunge is one that kind of pushes my knees to the limit some. So that means I was moving better. And also, this was a little more loose, letting my knees move a little more freely. So that's the positive evaluation I took. Tuck that tail, knees track the same way as the toes. Good, so positive evaluation here. What's different from the first round to the fourth round? My right ankle's popping like crazy. 15 seconds. Perfect. So, my positive evaluation for myself on that round was that round I was able to touch my weight to the floor every time, keeping my chest up without a struggle. So that's the positive I noticed in the first round to the fourth round. Up and overs. String lifts you tall. Over. Here, there's a lot of things you could be noticing. Maybe you're able to keep your leg a little straighter. Maybe you're able to get it higher. Maybe not higher, but you have more control. Maybe your leg's just moving more smoothly. Perfect. Good job, guys. On the other side. So for that side, I would say, for me, I tend to crunch through my side body. Again, I'm tilted this way. So when I lift this leg, I just did it, not even thinking, I tend to crunch through my body as opposed to just lifting. I felt more in control of that on this round. Tall. over, lift. For a reason. Listen to yourself. Seconds. Good. So the positive I noticed, the left was the one I said really likes to thud every now and then. The first round, I was very aware it wanted to thud. And it actually did mini thud once. That round felt super smooth. I can't lift it as high as the right, but it felt super smooth. So that's my positive takeaway. Runner's lunge, warrior three on this side. Hips even, we lean out, drive through this front foot, tick-tock over, hips even, lower back. Come on. Tick-tock over. Ease it back. Rizzo, you've got a little cow? Oh my goodness. Are you showing everybody cow? Come here. Oh my goodness, look at you. Once I'm not precariously balancing on one foot, I will give you pets. Woo! Good job, friends. Look at you. Look at you with your little cow. Good girl. Oh, don't make everybody so happy. Yes. All right. All right, guys, other side. Woo. Get lined up. All right. Tick-tock out. Push up. Forward. Woo. Woo, fatigue is real on this side. Forward. Drive. Come forward. Ease it back. Go ahead. Hi, sweet girl. Woo! All right. Trying to come up with a positive takeaway. No joke, that was a challenge. But positive takeaways, I'm making progress on the right side. Yogi squat, plank step backs. Come on, watch out, Rizzo. Right. All right. Up, up. Hips come down. Open that chest. Hands down. Back, back. Up, up. Sink those hips down, chest up. Step it back. And again, you can be here and just kind of rock into it and then step back. But coming down is not an option. If you are coming down, really make those prayer hands and push your knees into your elbows, elbows into knees, open that chest, and then step back. Really maximize that stretch. I'm just gonna enjoy that stretch for another moment. All right, guys. Roll it back. We've got one left, and we are done. Bring that heavy weight over. We're gonna come back into our bridge. Feet in line with our hips. Weight on those hip bones. We're gonna keep the hands on the weight. Hi, Rizzo. And we push. Yes, sweet girl. Push. Push. Squeeze that tush. Drag through those heels. And again, make sure you're keeping your knees in. If you're tight through the inner thighs, inner groin, you will feel much more comfortable and inclined to let those knees flare out. Thank you. Ding, ding, ding! We did it, Rizzo! We did it, big girl! We did it! Good job! Good job, you! Woo! Alright, guys, that is it. We finished part one of that hip mobility series, or really just a mobility series. So today, obviously, was hips. I hope you guys really enjoyed that one. It was a lot of work. It really was a lot of work. Just moving in ways that we don't normally move. And at the same time, getting to evaluate how our body moves. How are our hips moving? The joints, the muscle, the fascia. When I say fascia, if you don't know what I mean by that, fascia is kind of the elements that live underneath the muscles. It's that connective tissue. We've got joints, we've got fascia, we've got tendons, we've got ligaments, all of that stuff, all in our hips, all crisscrossing, overlapping, stacked on top of one another. So there's so many things to go right and go wrong in that area. So it's great to take a workout like this where you're working hard, but also pushing your hip through all of those ranges of motion to evaluate how they move, how strong they are, how are those muscles, how are those joints. So I hope you guys came curious, non-judgmental, and that you walked away with some positives and some possible things to work on to keep getting stronger and to improve your flexibility, your pliability, and just how easily you can move through your day-to-day life and be as efficient as possible. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, follow, favorite, all of those things that get people noticing what we're doing here, challenging themselves, and making themselves better. Next workout, we're going to do the same kind of thing, circuit series, but we're going to do shoulder mobility. So we'll be moving through upper body exercises that test the mobility of our shoulders. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please consider donating. It is the only payment that I receive for these classes, so any donations are greatly appreciated. Venmo at Strong Style Fit is where you'll find me, and you'll see this logo. You'll know it's me. You guys have a great weekend, and I will see you in a few days for our shoulder mobility series. Mwah!